third-person shooter or hack and slash video game. Or maybe it's a TPS plus HNS. Hey! Hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. And I'm here to talk to you about third-person shooter video games. Wait, sorry. No, I'm not. I'm here to talk to you about hack and slash video games. Wait, no, not that either. Actually, both. I'm here to talk to you about the third-person shooter slash plus times divided multiplied. I don't know where this is going anymore. I'm not the best with math or adding things up. Point is, I'm here to talk to you about third-person shooter video games and hack and slash video games, or third-person shooter hack and slash video games. As video games have been developing and evolving over the years, I'm sure a great many of us have noticed that different video game genres have been combining. They've been working together, mixing and matching genres to try and create something innovative and original. Now, third-person shooter video games have been around for a while. Third-person hack and slash melee games a bit longer. Now, combining the two only seems like a natural evolution. And quite honestly, I'm genuinely surprised that this hasn't been expanded on and tried out more further in other video games or new IPs. Granted, over the years, more and more games have been doing this mixing and matching of genres, mixing of the first person, the third person, the shooter, and the melee combat. Now, I could go over all the different games that have come out that have been mixing and matching, like some of the more recent games like Destiny, Evolve, and maybe, arguably, Devil May Cry. I mean, you shoot guns in Devil May Cry, but let's admit it, it's mostly a melee action combat game. Now, I could talk more in depth about those games and many others, but there are three particular games. Three games I really like. I really enjoy the combat of these games, the combat systems that combine third-person shooting and third-person hack and slash gameplay. And I want to talk to you guys why I like them, why they work, and why I think more video games should try this unique mix of shooter gameplay and hack and slash melee gameplay. First game I want to talk about, Warhammer 40k Space Marine. In Space Marine, your playable character is equipped with 4 different ranged guns, shooter weapons, and 1 melee weapon. And you have the capability to switch between those 4 guns and this 1 melee weapon literally instantaneously. Now, depending on the combat situation and player choice, you'll be using both these different types of gameplay in conjunction with one another, with what's both effective and fun for the player. Some players will prefer the meaty, impactful shooting, while others will prefer the meaty, impactful, and powerful melee combat. Hell, you have to perform melee combat in order to stay alive. The only way to regain health in this game is not through med packs or regenerating health. The only way to gain health in Space Marine is to perform melee executions on enemies. Now, while the melee combat in Space Marine isn't as in-depth as, say, a game like Devil May Cry, you do have a few combos you can perform with certain button presses and combining normal melee attacks with stun attacks. As part of the melee combat is performing a stun move that stuns enemies and leaves them open for a melee execution. Now, the shooting combat consists of, well, I guess normal third-person shooting, you would say, with a few twists. Now, you do have your typical pistols, assault rifles, shotgun, sniper rifles, and familiar shooting mechanics, aiming down the sights, sprinting, rolling, but there is no cover system in Space Marine. Instead, you are encouraged to use the melee combat. Instead of falling back and looking for cover, you are encouraged to charge headfirst into your enemies in order to regain health and actually survive the fight. This makes combat in Space Marine far more engaging and interesting and memorable in certain cases than, say, a more bland and typical third-person shooter that has a cover system and only has the third-person shooting gameplay with no melee system like Space Marines. I mean, comparing Space Marine's third-person hack-and-slash gameplay to another third-person shooter like Kane and Lynch, or generic third-person shooter ZMR. Granted, I really like ZMR, it's actually a pretty good game. Point still stands, however. The combination of third-person shooting and the third-person hack-and-slash melee system combined to create Warhammer 40k Space Marines combat makes it more engaging and memorable. The fact that the game encourages you to switch between shooting gameplay and melee combat, that instead of hiding behind cover, you rush into the enemies and fight them face to face. It's an engaging and powerful feeling. Now, next game I want to talk about with third-person shooting and third-person melee hack-and-slash gameplay, Deadpool. Everyone's favorite merc with a mouth from Marvel. Try saying that 3 times fast. All those M's. Deadpool, once again a game that mixes gameplay genres. Now, comparing Deadpool to Space Marine, while I would say Space Marine has the superior third-person shooting, Deadpool's third-person shooting is indeed competent. It does lack weapon variety. You're basically using the 4 different guns in the game and the 3 different melee weapons in the game throughout the entirety of the game. And again, while I do state that the third-person shooting isn't all too remarkable, it does have some satisfying elements indeed. I mean, the weapons do feel good, and they have wonderfully gruesome and gory effects on enemies. The melee combat is more where Deadpool is at. Using katanas, sais, and giant hammers, Deadpool is able to pull off a variety of combos. Unlike in Space Marine, Deadpool has heavy and light attacks which it can chain together for different moves. And later on in the game, you can combine melee combat with your guns, with your shooter weapons, with gun kata, as Deadpool eventually unlocks gun kata. For those of you who don't know what gun kata is, it's combining ranged weapons, guns, combining guns with close-range melee moves. Think karate or ninjutsu, but with guns. Deadpool's gameplay is also very smooth, as you can instantly change from third-person shooting to melee combat literally instantly. Hell, I'd say the transition is even smoother and faster than that in Space Marine, and Space Marines is already pretty smooth and fast. What I love to do in Deadpool is get into some melee combos, get into some melee combat, then pull off some gun kata, and while I'm pulling off the gun kata, instantly transfer to third-person shooting. I am genuinely very surprised that Deadpool didn't get more credit for its gameplay, because not a lot of games were doing what Deadpool was doing, instantly switching from third-person shooting to melee combat, and the game had gun kata. I know so very few games that actually have gun kata. And again, just that buttery smooth transition from melee combat to third-person shooting, it allows you to get really dynamic, effective, efficient, and just downright versatile with the combat system in Deadpool. You really do feel like this empowering comic book superhero type character. And it suits the character of Deadpool being this crazy mercenary assassin. And again, this combination of the 2 different genres of gameplay made the combat in Deadpool more memorable and kept me playing. I still replay the challenge mode of Deadpool because I still haven't gotten all the gold medals. God damn it.
Oh my god, you suck.
You know, Deadpool, it really doesn't help with you lowering my self-esteem, okay? I'm trying to help you win here, buddy. Oop, sorry, yeah, video. Okay, so we've done Space Marine, we've done Deadpool. 2 games some of you may be aware of, some of you might not be aware of, but they're 2 games that handle the third-person shooting and melee combat combination and transition very well. However, let's talk about a game that does that, third-person shooting and melee combat, that I'm sure all of you are very well aware of. Warframe. Now, one of the biggest appeals of Warframe is its gameplay. The fact that Warframe combines all sorts of gameplay genres as mixes them into one. Fast-paced parkour movement, unique superpowers, of course, third-person shooting, and melee combat. However, unlike Space Marine and Deadpool, Warframe has different types of melee, different types of modes of both shooting and melee combat. And it's all about what stance you're in and what weapon you have equipped at the moment. If you have one of your ranged weapons out, one of your guns, one of your shooting weapons, if you have a gun out, you can pull off quick, immediate melee attacks with a push of a button. However, if you switch directly to your melee weapon, you gain access to new moves with longer, unique combos that do more damage. You can also deflect enemy gunfire and melee attacks with the melee weapon equipped. So you can pull off melee combos and block with your melee weapon equipped, but when you have your gun equipped, you can just do quick melee attacks. Now the transition to third-person melee and third-person shooter isn't as buttery smooth as Space Marine or Deadpool. However, what Warframe absolutely devastates Space Marine and Deadpool in terms of its gameplay is the variety. The variety of characters you get to play as and weapons you get to use, because each weapon is very different from the other, even the same types of weapons. So while Warframe has more variety and more options in terms of its gameplay, I would, however, say, in the specifics of the third-person shooting and melee hack-and-slash mechanics with the transitioning mechanic between the two genres, I'd say Space Marine and Deadpool do that a bit better, but again, Warframe has much more options in terms of tools you get to use. But again, the thing about all these games, the things that these three games have in common, and not just that, other games like Destiny. Destiny is embracing more and more third-person melee, with swords as a new heavy weapon that turns the game into a third-person hack-and-slash, and Destiny is a first-person shooter, or a game like Evolve, where you have the first-person shooter hunter characters and the third-person melee combat action game monster characters. The main point I'm trying to make throughout this video is that, while standard regular third-person shooters like, say, Gears of War, Binary Domain, ZMR, and hack-and-slash melee games like Dark Souls, Prince of Persia, and Devil May Cry, while all these games are great on their own in their own specific genres, games like Space Marine, Deadpool, and Warframe, with their combination of the third-person shooting and the hack-and-slash gameplay, the mixing of the two creates far more engaging, memorable, and versatile gameplay. Space Marine forces you into the action instead of hiding behind cover. Deadpool makes the transition between the two gameplay styles effective and flashy. Warframe and its gameplay is so varied with the third-person shooting and the melee combat and all the weapons at your disposal, it makes it very, very hard to tire of the game. I'm just saying, from my perspective, from this one gamer's perspective, I think the combination of third-person shooting and melee hack-and-slash gameplay should be married more often, should be transitioned from one another more often. It creates a more memorable experience, it makes the action look all the more intense and versatile and just downright fun. Even though games like Space Marine and Deadpool weren't critical successes, I personally keep coming back to those games because of the gameplay and how it mixes genres. And anyone who plays Warframe, well, you know how easy it is to get addicted to that game and its gameplay. Final point being, action games should be as action-packed as possible. And as fans of action, whether it be video games or movies, just action-packed entertainment in general, we enjoy the shootouts, we enjoy the gunfights, but we also enjoy the kung fu, the melee, the brawls, the sword duels, and melee weapon combat. Action, combat, fighting isn't always one or the other. I mean, why pick a gun or a sword when you can take both and stab your enemy while you're shooting him? Yes, I know, I run a real family-friendly YouTube channel here, folks, eh? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. What are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on third-person shooters and hack-and-slash video games? What do you think of them coming together? What do you think of this video? What do you think of my opinion? I'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section below. Please leave a comment. I don't get nearly enough comments, and I love reading comments. Please leave a comment. Also, if you liked the video in any way, shape, or form, if you enjoyed my opinion, if you enjoyed the gameplay, if you liked anything or everything about the video, please hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved with the video if you hit the like button. And finally, I am the Gamertron, and this is the Gamertron Show, where I love video games and I love talking about video games. And if that's something that interests you, maybe consider supporting me by subscribing to my channel. Anyways, guys, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.
Oh my God, you suck.